Firstly, I'd like to thank the members present today and thank you for the opportunity to represent my daughter today. And my name is Alyssa Burns.
Please make sure, Ms. Burns, that your mic is on. The green light should be bright green and pulled up closer to you.
Do you want me to start over?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you. Chairman?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you already know, I have Alyssa Burns here. Kimberly was killed by a distracted driver, and we'll hear her testimony here in just a minute. And we welcome her today and thank her for such a brave young lady to come and talk about the loss of a 2-year-old daughter. We're talking about distracted driving here today, and a piece of legislation that I will introduce this year. Kentucky remains to be one of the few states without a comprehensive handheld phone ban. Despite rising fatalities and this being a law in all 7 of our neighboring states, they've enacted similar laws. Like I said, we're one of the few states without a law. The proposed legislation would close current loopholes by requiring hands-free technology for cell phones to be used while driving. Mr. Chairman, in 2023, that's the latest figures that we have, 814 people were killed in collisions on Kentucky's roadways. About 51% of the fatalities involved individuals who were not wearing a seatbelt. That is disturbing. That 51%. I don't know what the percentage of those who were survived the wreck if they'd been wearing a seatbelt. So, and also in 2023, approximately 16% of the fatal crashes involved alcohol. 33% involved speeding or aggressive driving, and about 20% involved distracted driving. I'm sure that figure is much higher. I don't think we keep adequate records of distracted driving. And a broader benchmark, in 2024, Kentucky's traffic fatality rate was 1.45 deaths per 100 million vehicle miles traveled in the state of Kentucky, placing the state 9th highest in the U.S. for that metric. Also included in that statistics, 104 motorcyclists died on our Kentucky highways. That's almost 15% of the deaths. 15 bicyclists lost their life, and 123 pedestrians lost their life. Every time I hear a traffic fatality, either a head-on collision, road departure, motorcycle hit by a vehicle, pedestrian hit by a vehicle, or a bicyclist hit by a vehicle, I ask myself the question, could this been caused by a distracted driver? And I believe a majority of the times that's what caused the accident, is the driver was distracted. So this piece of legislation will deal with that, but before we get started, I want to hear the testimony from Kimberly's mother, and she will tell her story about her daughter's tragic death. Alyssa, the floor is yours.
Like I said, my name is Alyssa Burns, and this really has nothing to do with me and everything to do about a little girl named Kimberly. And I would like to tell you a story about her. She was the funniest and kindest, sweetest little girl. I'm sure you all can relate. I'm sure everybody's kid is the sweetest. But water was one of her favorite things, and so of course bath time and dogs' water bowls were her favorite plaything. And other than outside, my nature-loving girl just wanted to sit with her mommy and play in the grass. October 28th, 2022, we got Cammie ready to go to her nanny's house for Halloween. She had picked out her own Halloween costume this year, and she was going to be a scarecrow. So we were all going to come back and be scarecrows after we had her weekend. And so that morning we just kept it slow and steady, and usually around this time she was ready to go see her naughty, and I needed a break too. But also her Uncle Sammy, who was only 17 at the time, was there, and they were besties. So they were each other's entire world. So after a peaceful morning, we started to get ready to go, and I get her buckled into her car seat. She hadn't had a nap that day, and so I knew that she was probably gonna fall asleep in the car. And so we start driving, and I'm putting on music, Salen's, driving, I'm messing with my phone. And the next thing I hear is he says, "Oh crap." And I look up and I see that we're stopped in traffic. And I didn't think anything of it really. I thought, okay, time for her to nap. Cool. So, and it felt great outside that day. So I was like, windows down, we're good. I look back at her and she is definitely on her way to sleep. She's got her binky in her mouth, her cover up to her face, and her eyes are slow and steady. And I turn back around and black. The next thing I remember is someone saying, "Your daughter's gone. I'm sorry." And I remember nothing else. For the next few days or even a week, I don't remember anything else from a brain injury. So for 1,086 days, I had an angel on earth. And that seems like a long time, but it's not. It's nowhere near long enough. She was nothing less of a pure light, put on this earth basically to save her mother. And our children truly are our lives and our future. But my child was not only stripped of that light within a blink, she was robbed of her future, and she could have been the doctor that saves your child, or who knows what she could have been. We'll never know her full potential because of a reckless driver, who, by the way, was not prosecuted only because he said he wasn't paying attention. He had no drugs in his system, he had no alcohol, just, "I wasn't paying attention." Those simple words got him free. She was buckled in her car seat safely. It was a construction zone. He was a habitual speeder who had been caught multiple times. We were at a complete stop. Witness testimony has even gone further to say that he was road raging and tailgating others prior to the accident. Accident, I say lightly. I like to say crash. The words from my Commonwealth was, "We're trying our best to curb these ills, but we're so sorry Riker's actions do not warrant a felony arrest." Riker's actions do not warrant a felony conviction. But an innocent child was torn apart, literally. Her injuries being, she was nearly decapitated, her eye was out of her socket, every bone in her back and neck were broken, her head was split open, and she was pulled out of a 4x4 space. In the eyes of our Kentucky Commonwealth, using your vehicle as a weapon or a toy and it ending in the death of a child doesn't warrant charges. Why? Why wait until it's your child to care? And granted, I was ignorant myself. I did not realize that our laws were so broken. I did not realize that we did not have things in place for this. And my daughter was 13 days away from her second birthday, and instead I'm holding public rallies and walkathons and telling her younger sister that she shouldn't be the oldest living child. Instead of saying sorry, help me do something about it, because this can happen to anyone, including you and your children. And I hate to say it like that, but it's true. I'll never know what took his attention away from saving a life that day. I don't understand, and you shouldn't either. This wasn't an act of God or a sickness or a failure on my end as a parent. And yet she's gone. So please, if you don't vote yes on the hands-free bill today, I just ask that, I just ask that you help me. You help me in continuing making our roads safer for our future, because my daughter deserves to be here. I know this bill does not bring Camberly back, and it doesn't bring the justice that is due, but it plants a seed for safety and security for our future. And I'm here to support and help pass this bill, and I just ask that you do too. Thank you.
Alyssa, thank you so much. I know it took a lot of courage to give that testimony. As I said earlier, there's 814 fatalities on Kentucky roads in 2023. 20% of those were caused by distracted drivers. Again, I believe that number was higher. That would be 162 deaths, including Kimberly on Kentucky highways. As you all know, there's been a hands-free bill proposed in the General Assembly for years now. This bill that I'm going to introduce was taken, I don't mind copying another state's legislation, but it came from South Carolina. It addresses a lot of the issues that we had last year with the bill that we proposed last year. And out of respect for my good friend Johnny Turner, Johnny said he would always vote for a hands-free bill as long as he could. It did not preclude him from reloading his gun. I said reloading. This would not preclude Johnny Turner from doing that. So rest in peace, my friend. Like I said, this bill is basically what it does. It makes it unlawful to have a handheld communication device in your hand. It does not include a citizen band radio, and while operating a vehicle on a public highway in the Commonwealth, the person shall not hold or support with any part of his body a mobile electronic device. They should not read, compose, or transmit any text messages. They can't watch moving images, including but not limited to videos, movies, and games. This bill shall not apply to a motor vehicle operator who is in a motor vehicle that is lawfully parked or stopped. And that was one of the catching points last year that a lot of folks said that if you're stopped at a red light, you should be able to look at your phone. So that deals with that. If you're stopped, legally stopped, you can look at your phone. It also, you can initiate a voice-based communication that is automatically converted to a text message. It does not prohibit reporting an accident or emergency. It does not prohibit transmitting or receiving data that's part of a digital dispatch system. It does not prohibit first responder while performing their official duties. It does not prohibit using an electronic device for the purpose of navigation, initiating or ending a cellular call, or unlocking the device. It does not prohibit using the equipment or services installed by the original manufacturer of the vehicle. Also, we had some concerns last year because it was kind of vague what a police officer could do in case a vehicle was stopped or a person was stopped for using a handheld device. The bill says that a police officer shall not stop a person for a violation of this section unless the officer has visually observed that a violation has occurred based on the officer's clear and unobstructed view of the person who is unlawfully using the mobile electronic device while operating a vehicle on a public highway. The officer shall not seize, search, view, or require the forfeiture of the electronic device. An officer shall not search or request a search of a motor vehicle operator or passenger in a motor vehicle solely because of the violation of this section. An officer shall not make a custodial arrest based on this violation. The fines for this violation are $100, and it'd be $100 plus court cost. And and it's not etched in stone yet where the $100 would go in this legislation. Right now, it says that 35% of it would go to Traumatic Brain Injury Trust Fund, 35% of it would transfer to Kentucky Trauma Care System, and 30% would be transferred to Veteran Program Trust Fund. In closing, I would encourage each of you, members of the Transportation Committee, to include in any of your articles, Facebook posts, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, or any messages, or anything that you do to include a message that promotes highway safety. Because as a Transportation Committee, not only do we build roads, but we need to encourage people to operate their vehicles safely on our highways. This is a winnable battle, and we can, with this piece of legislation, we can reduce deaths on Kentucky highways. Like I said, as many as 814 were killed in 2023. Don't have the totals for 2024 yet, but each and every one of those deaths were preventable. And be glad to entertain any questions you might have about this legislation, and hopefully this is the year that we can pass a distracted driver's bill. Like I said, every state contiguous to Kentucky has a law that says, you know, it's against the law to have a handheld device in your hand while driving. And hopefully we can add Kentucky to that list as you cross, as Kentuckians, as we go into other states. Maybe if we practice not being on our phone here, we won't get ticketed in another state. So be glad to entertain any questions you might have. And again, thank you all for hearing this legislation. And thank Alyssa for being here today and her bravery and testifying before this committee.